So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes. The idea is very simple. We want you to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but we don't want you to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, we will cover current affairs within 30 minutes. Now, just watching this lecture within 30 minutes would be job half done because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Because revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram platform is provided in the comment section just below this video. Okay then, let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So in total, we'll be covering 5 topics, okay? Because these are the 5 topics that are important from the perspective of civil services examination. Number 1 in this list is India Semiconductor Mission, okay? There have been some announcements with respect to India Semiconductor Mission, so we'll talk about this. Then there was some announcement with respect to Chandrayaan-5. As you know, Chandrayaan-4 is in pipeline, and recently India and Japan have decided to collaborate on Chandrayaan-5. So what is this Chandrayaan-5 mission? We'll talk about this. Then recently, as you all know, the Pahalgam terrorist attack occurred, and in response to that, there was Operation Sindoor. Now, the Pahalgam terrorist attack, the responsibility of that attack was initially taken by the Resistance Front, PRF. Now, India is moving United Nations 1267 committee to ban PRF or to put it under sanctions list. So what is this UN 1267 Sanctions Committee? We'll talk about this. Then recently, government has made some announcements with respect to periodic labor force survey. In fact, government has decided to upgrade this survey so that better employment related data can be calculated and at a higher frequency. So we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about public financial management system. Now, this public financial management system and its portal actually takes care of government money, where it is going, how is it being used. So we'll talk about this as well. Okay, so these are the 5 topics that we shall zero in our attention on. So let's start discussing them one by one, starting with India Semiconductor Mission. Okay, now look, the thing is that semiconductors are very important because these semiconductors are, well, these are used in chips. Semiconductors or chips, okay, electronic chips will be used interchangeably, okay. Now, semiconductors are these electronic chips which are used in almost all electronic items. All electronic items, whether it's your phone, microwave oven, fridge, cars, everything that is electronic requires these electronic chips or semiconductor chips. Okay. Now, as you all know, 21st century is all about electronics. We are surrounded by electronics. Everything is done through electronics. Now, if everything is done through electronics, well, it is very important to secure the supply of these chips. Right? Now, India wants to become self-reliant when it comes to these chips, because we know that everything is going to be chips oriented or electronics oriented, from defense to consumer electronics to everything. Okay, so we need to be self-reliant, because if we are not self-reliant, then we will be vulnerable on one country or the other for the supply of these chips so that we can power our electronics, right? So to make India self-reliant as far as chips manufacturing is concerned, India launched India Semiconductor Mission. So the purpose of this mission was to make India self-reliant when it comes to electronics. Okay. Now, when we talk about electronic chips, okay, the thing is that these chips are manufactured. Then these chips are basically arranged in a proper circuit. And then these circuits are fit into electronics items. Okay, so all electronic items contain multiple chips or multiple semiconductors, and they are arranged in a circuit based on the requirement of that electronic item. Clear? Now, the thing is that manufacturing these chips from scratch, from raw material. Manufacturing and designing these chips from scratch, from raw material, is known as fabrication. Okay. And then once these chips are manufactured, then these chips are arranged in a circuit, packaged in a circuit. This is known as assembly or packaging. Okay. Now remember, fabrication is tough. It is the most difficult task. Okay. Assembling or packaging is easier. So remember, chips manufacturing is a tougher job than assembling it. Clear? Makes sense? Now, India, through India Semiconductor Mission, wants to establish fabrication plants as well as assembly plants. This would not only make India self-reliant, it would also boost India's economy because manufacturing would be done and would also boost jobs. So, India Semiconductor Mission is extremely critical. Now, under this mission, a sixth project has been approved. So, Union Cabinet has approved a joint venture between HCL, which is from India, and Foxconn, which is foreign, to set up a chip assembly. Remember, assembly and packaging unit in Uttar Pradesh, basically Noida. Now, this is the sixth project under this mission to receive approval under India's ambitious India Semiconductor Mission. Now, India Semiconductor Mission is a 76,000 crore mission. Okay. And under this mission, this HCL Foxconn joint venture is the sixth project. Clear? Now, the plant will attract an investment of 3,706 crore with around 1,500 crore coming from government directly in the form of incentives. Okay. So, these 1,500 crore would be taken from this 76,000 crores to basically incentivize HCL and Foxconn to establish this assembly plant. Remember one more thing. Currently, there is no fabrication plant in India, though Tata is establishing a fabrication plant in Dhulera, but it is not operational yet. It is being constructed. So as far as operational factories are concerned, plants are concerned, we don't have any fabrication plant. Remember this fact. But in a few years' time, we will have in Dhulera that would be operated by Tata. Clear? Now let's gather some more information about ISM. Okay. So it was launched in 2021. It is a strategic initiative by government to promote domestic semiconductor and display manufacturing. Now, what do we mean by display manufacturing? Well, you all know that all these electronic items have screens, TVs, okay, phones, everything. Now, these screens also require semiconductors and a proper arrangement of these semiconductor chips. Okay, and they require specialized chips. Those specialized chips come under display manufacturing. Okay. So display manufacturing as well as semiconductor manufacturing would be undertaken under ISM. Now the purpose of this mission is self-reliance, reduce import dependence like I said before, and create a global hub for semiconductor design and manufacturing. Okay, so that India can reach the heights what Taiwan reached. Currently Taiwan is renowned all over the world with respect to semiconductor manufacturing. Now, ISM is managed by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Clear? Now, under IMS, there is this program called Semicon India program. Okay? And under this Semicon India program, there are 4 schemes for different reasons. Okay? One scheme is for fabrication, one scheme is for assembly. Okay? So what is this Semicon India program, which is under ISM? The program aims to provide financial support to companies investing in semiconductors, display manufacturing and design ecosystem. It also promotes and facilitates indigenous intellectual property generation like patents. Okay, and encourages, enables, incentivizes transfer of technologies from foreign companies to Indian companies. Now there are 4 schemes under it. Scheme for setting up semiconductor fabs, that is fabrication, and you know what fabrication is now. Scheme for setting up display fabs, okay, chips for displays, screens. Scheme for setting up of compound semiconductor, silicon photonic sensor fab and semiconductor assembly, testing, marketing, packaging, OSAT facilities. All of this is assembly and packaging. So this scheme is for assembly and packaging. And design linked incentive scheme, this basically provides financial incentives to those companies who will design these chips, not manufacture, design. Though mostly the company that designs it also manufactures it. But this scheme will reward designing of chips. Okay. Now, some key terms that are important for you to remember. First of all, we have discussed what fabrication is, display fabrication, assembly and packaging. Okay. And within assembly and packaging units are known by two names. Okay. Outsourced semiconductor assembly test, OSAT, and assembly testing, marking and packaging, ATMP. So remember OSAT and ATMP. Okay. All of this is related to packaging only, assembling and packaging. Okay. So I hope you understood this India Semiconductor Mission. It is a strategic mission for Government of India, and hence it is important for us to remember this till our exams. It is very important. Okay. Now let's move on to topic number 2, which is, well, Chandrayaan-5 mission. So Indian and Japanese space agency. So Indian space agency is ISRO and Japanese is JAXA, Japanese Aerospace Agency. They are working on Chandrayaan-5 mission aimed at deeper exploration of the moon's surface and will soon commence preliminary design. Now, in India, it is called Chandrayaan-5. In Japan, it is called LUPEX, Lunar Polar Exploration. As the name suggests, it would basically explore poles, okay, south pole of moon. Clear? It is a joint project between ISRO and JAXA to study water and water ice both on lunar surface and subsurface. Okay. The proposed Chandrayaan-4 mission will be a return. Okay. Now this is Chandrayaan-5 mission, but ISRO already has Chandrayaan-4 mission in the pipeline, right? Now Chandrayaan-4 mission will be sample return mission. Clear? As you all know, the Chandrayaan-3 mission was basically lander. So we will land on moon, and a rover that would move around on moon. Now, Chandrayaan-4 would be that this rover would collect samples, put it in lander, and then this lander will be launched and bring these samples back to Earth. So this is very ambitious. You'll go to moon, collect some samples and bring them back to Earth. Okay, so it is a sample return mission. Clear? Chandrayaan-4. And after Chandrayaan-4, there will be Chandrayaan-5, which will be ISRO-JAXA joint collaboration. Clear? Now, ISRO is developing Chandrayaan-5's lander, whereas JAXA is developing the rover. Okay, just remember this fact. In Chandrayaan-5, ISRO will develop lander and JAXA would develop rover. In fact, on this entire Chandrayaan-5 mission, there will be 7 scientific instruments. 2 instruments would be from European Space Agency and NASA. European Space Agency will have a mass spectrometer and NASA will have a neutron spectrometer. Okay, basically spectrometers are those instruments which use spectroscopy to measure the composition of materials. They basically use light to measure the composition of different materials. So this is what is spectroscopy, using light to basically study materials. Okay, their composition, ions in them, atoms in them, everything. Clear? That would be all. That's all you need to know as far as Chandrayaan-5 is concerned. More details would come as the mission progresses. Okay. Now let's talk about UN 1267 Sanctions Committee. So India has sent a team to United Nations in an attempt to get the Resistance Front, which is an offshoot of Lashkar-e-Toiba, Pakistan-based terror organization. The outfit suspected to be behind the Pahalgam attack listed as a terrorist group. The Indian team will be meeting the monitoring team of 1267 Sanctions Committee and other partner countries in UN. Now, Indian team will also be meeting UN Office of Counterterrorism and Counterterrorism Committee. Okay. But the most important thing is 1267 Sanctions Committee. Because if this 1267 Sanctions Committee of UN is convinced of Indian allegations, then this would be really bad news for Pakistan, especially Lashkar-e-Toiba and TRF. Now, what is this Sanctions Committee? Okay, it is also known as ISIL or ISIS. You remember ISIS? Okay, it was also called ISIL or Daesh. So this committee is also known as Daesh and Al-Qaeda Committee because it was formed to tackle the problem of ISIS and Al Qaeda. Nonetheless, it is called 1267 Committee, Sanctions Committee. So 1267 Sanctions Committee is a UNSC, United Nations Security Council committee established to implement sanctions against individuals and entities associated with terror outfits. So look, this 1267 Sanctions Committee creates a sanctions list. Okay. In this list, terror outfits recognized by UN as terror organizations are listed. The people who are members of these terror organizations are also listed. If their names are featured in this list, then these people and these organizations would face economic sanctions. So all the assets of these organizations in overseas, all over the world, would be frozen. These people, it would be very difficult for these people to open bank accounts, transfer money, all types of economic sanctions, so that these people don't receive any money would be done to them. Okay, so the committee's core function is basically create this sanctions list and then put economic sanctions on these people and these organizations. So the committee's core function is to implement sanctions under UNSC resolution, United Nations Security Council resolution 1267. Okay, so this committee manages and updates the sanction list, monitors implementation. So if these organizations are in Pakistan, then this committee will monitor whether Pakistan is taking steps to stop the flow of money to these terror organizations. Okay. It also collaborates with Financial Action Task Force, private banks and financial sector operators, private banks, so as to keep an eye on these people or their bank activity and others. Clear? Now, India is also going to United Nations Office of Counterterrorism. So it was established in 2017 to lead and coordinate UN's approach to countering terrorism and violent extremism. So this UNOCT, this is basically an office that coordinates different organizations of UN. So all the organizations of UN need to coordinate to fight against terror. UNOCT helps in that. Similarly, there is an organization called Counter-Terrorism Committee and its Executive Directorate. So this committee was established by United Nations Security Council under 1373 resolution in 2001 in the wake of 9/11 attacks. The committee was tasked with monitoring implementation of resolution 1373, which requested countries to implement a number of measures aimed at enhancing their legal and institutional ability to counter terrorist activities. Basically, this committee asks countries to implement measures so that terrorists do not operate from their land. Clear? That would be all. Now let's shift our focus to topic number 4, which is upgrade of periodic labor force survey. Now remember, periodic labor force survey is a survey that provides India with employment indicators or data with respect to the situation of employment or unemployment in India. Now, this PLFS was launched in 2017 and in 2025, it is announced that this PLFS, this survey will be upgraded. Okay. Now remember, PLFS is conducted by National Statistical Office, which is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So NSO will release periodic labor force survey or upgraded version of periodic labor force survey starting from May this year. Okay. So NSO will release PLFS on a monthly basis. Currently, PLFS data is released either on weekly basis or annual basis. So the first upgrade to PLFS is that it will release data on a monthly basis along with quarterly for both rural and urban. So quarterly data will come, sorry, it's not weekly, quarterly. I'm so sorry. So PLFS releases data annually and quarterly. Now NSO says that from May onwards, it will also release data on a monthly basis. So this is better. We need to have employment related data quickly so that we can take quick decisions. Okay. So starting from May, for both rural and urban India, now quarterly data will be released, monthly data will also be released. Plus some other changes are also being made on PLFS. Along with the status on employment and unemployment, other information would be released. For example, the education level, land possessed by the people, land leased out, households' usual monthly income from rent, pension, interest, remittances. So all of this data will also be released along with their status, whether they are employed or unemployed. Plus, currently the reporting period is from July to June. So let's suppose the reporting annual, the employment unemployment data, which is released on an annual basis, is from July of, let's suppose, 2024 to June of next year. Okay. Now this will be changed, and from now on we will follow calendar year. So annual data would contain data from January of one year and December of the same year, so as to reduce confusion. Okay, so these changes are well welcomed. These are very important. First of all, these additional details are important because from this we will get to know the real picture. Okay, even if people are not employed, then too if they have enough land, well, that is good news. Okay, so we will get a more comprehensive granular picture. Plus, by making it aligned with calendar year, well, it would reduce confusion. And by giving monthly data, well, you will get employment related data quickly, so you can take quick policy decisions, right? Now, about periodic labor force survey, the situation just before this upgrade. Okay, so before this upgrade, what was PLFS? So it was launched in April 2017. It is a survey for labor force indicators conducted by NSO under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, what are labor force indicators? First of all, PLFS measures labor force participation rate, worker population ratio, and unemployment rate. So it measures these three things. At present, rural PLFS data is released on an annual basis, and urban PLFS data is released on an annual plus quarterly basis. So for rural India, data is released only on an annual basis. For urban India, data is released on a quarterly, that is 3 monthly basis and annual basis. But with this upgrade, data will be released for rural India also on a quarterly as well as monthly basis. This is good news for rural India. Okay, so this was the situation up till now, but it is going to change. Some more information, okay, some terms. So when we measure employment or unemployment, we use different approaches. One approach is current weekly status. So when we go to different households and ask them questions, okay, so what is current weekly status approach? Well, we go to a house and ask them what was your activity status in the last 7 days. If you were employed for even 1 hour in the last 7 days, you are categorized as employed. If you did not even work for 1 hour in the last 7 days, you are categorized as unemployed. This is current weekly status approach. Then there is usual status. PS stands for principal status and SS stands for subsidiary status. Okay. In this case, we do not ask questions with respect to last 7 days. We ask questions with respect to last 1 year, 365 days. And if a person was employed for at least 30 days, he is categorized as employed. If he didn't get a job for even 30 days, unemployed. Now, in the current PLFS, I'm not talking about upgraded version, the current one, quarterly data was released using CWS for urban areas only. And annual data was released using CWS as well as usual status for both urban and rural areas. But now this is going to change. Now even monthly data would be released. Clear? I hope this cleared some fog with respect to this issue. And now let's move on to last news item of the day, which is Public Financial Management System. To comply with revised norms for availing interest-free capital expenditure loans from Center in 2025-26, state governments will seek modalities of uploading project details on Public Financial Management System portal. Now listen, the thing is that Center provides a lot of funds to states. Now some of those funds are for different schemes, okay, education schemes, health schemes. Some of those funds are given as loans. 50-year loans, long-term loans, and you don't even have to pay any interest on it. Interest-free loans. Okay. Now, center disburses a lot of money to states, but center gives that money through this portal called PFMS portal, Public Financial Management System. Center disburses these funds online using this portal so as to enhance transparency and to monitor where this fund is going, to which state it is going, how the state is using it, what are the results. For all of this, this entire process has been taken online. Okay. Now, if states have to receive money from center, for example, these 50-year interest-free loans, states have to submit for which project they want this money, and states also have to submit the project details. Then only money would be sanctioned. Now, recently states have complained that center has changed the form or the procedure to fill in these project details, and this procedure has not been made available to states. So states do not know how to apply for these interest-free loans, and that is why these interest-free loans are being delayed and states' projects are being delayed. So states are complaining that please rectify this problem quickly. Now, this was in the news. This is not important. What is important for us is to know what is this public financial management system. Okay, so the basic part you've understood. Okay, it is a financial management platform for all plan schemes and allows for effective tracking of fund flow to the lowest level of implementation for the planned scheme. So center gave money to state, state gave money to panchayats, panchayats gave money to different officers, and these officers gave this money to the beneficiaries or the school or the hospital, whatever. This entire fund flow shall be tracked through this PFMS. It is mandated to provide information on fund utilization for better monitoring, review, and decision support system to enhance public accountability. So this would enhance transparency, accountability, and all of this information will be available real time. There won't be any delays. Now, this PFMS is implemented by Controller General of Accounts under Finance Ministry. What are the benefits of this scheme? Okay, what are the benefits of this entire system going online? First of all, it is more efficient. Okay, better cash management. Now, Government of India's direct benefit transfer scheme, where money, subsidy money is directly given to the bank account of the beneficiary. This DBT system is run through PFMS, and this has enhanced the efficiency of DBT system. In fact, it is being said that using this online portal, center was able to save around 1 lakh crore, which would have gotten wasted through corruption, leakages. But now the entire process is online, so there is little scope for corruption, leakages. So these are the benefits. Okay. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But like I say this every time, it will add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture series and you revise this lecture as well. So please do not forget to do that. And on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.